Please welcome Bowie Lau. Take it away.
Alrighty. Hi, everybody. I am Bowie Lau, the co-host for the WOW Summit. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today, the session. I never got a chance to introduce myself earlier. I'm from Hong Kong, by the way. I basically wear two hats. One side, I am a venture investor focused on early stage investment in technology startups. Indirectly, I'm also invested a VC fund called True Global Ventures as a partner. And the fund specifically focuses on Web3 blockchain investment, including Hong Kong Unicorn, Animoca Brands, and Sandbox. On the other hand, I'm a venture builder. So I do a lot of activities building a lot of ventures through events and through advisory. Today, I have the privilege and honor to speak with a really good friend of mine, Well Shark. A little background of himself, but I'm going to ask him to introduce. But one key fact, Well Shark is the, one of the biggest NFT collector in the world. Second, he's also a second biggest land owner of the Sandbox Metaverse project. So great to have you, Well Shark. Thank you so much for joining me.
A real pleasure to be invited to the event today. Thank you to you and thank you to the WOW Summit organizers. Absolutely thrilled to be here.
Great. Well, thank you so much because I really feel so special. I understand that you haven't spoken in all these conferences and events for the last 8 months. So you really gave me face by showing up to this event. So thank you so much for all your support. Well, Shark, for those who don't know you, could you please kindly introduce yourself and let the audience know a little bit more about what you do? Is audio working? Yep. Hello, Well Shark, can you hear me? Well Shark, can you hear me?
Sorry about that, Bowie. Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, so
Sorry about that. I am calling from overseas, so
Yep.
again, I do apologize for any latency that you guys might experience. If we do encounter any technical difficulties, I will definitely hop in without the avatar. But given that, again, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Bowie's a very good friend of mine and absolutely thrilled to see everybody here excited about NFTs. As Bowie kindly introduced earlier on, I go by the pseudonym Whale Shark. I am known as one of the largest collectors of NFTs in the world, having collected over 400,000 of them since 2019. Was a very early investor in Bitcoin in 2012, an early investor in Ethereum in 2015. And was fortunate enough to find myself in the space in 2019 and established a NFT-focused community called Whale, which is going strong even during this bear market.
Well, thank you, Well Shark. So let's talk about a little bit of the NFT development. Can you share what's your views on the NFT landscape in 2022 and 23 onward?
It's a very interesting and challenging question. Again, in 2021, all of a sudden NFTs took the center stage and it really blew the minds of many people and particularly collectors who all of a sudden were able not only to be able to collect physical assets, but were able to collect digital assets. And we saw all of these optimistic predictions of NFTs literally taking over the world. Particularly everyone thought it was a party that would never end. Now, 2022 and 2023 have been a very painful realization that at the end of the day, you know, we are going to go through boom and bust cycles as NFTs find their place in mainstream technology. You know, whether that's Gary Vee or myself early on in 2021, I believe Gary Vee said 97% of NFT projects were going to fail. You know, I put my hat in the ring prior to that and said 99.99%. Of NFT projects are going to fail. And it's just simply a nature of an emerging technology. So, you know, what we've seen in 2022 to 2023, I would not only say that 99.99% of NFT projects have relatively struggled, but 99.99% of the market participants whether they be collectors, whether they be businesses, whether they be, again, more experimental financial funds, have really capitulated out of the space simply due to the correlation between the crypto market and NFTs. So, while I would love to say that the non-fungibility of NFTs, help it escape, I guess, the market forces that you see with more fungible assets such as crypto. Unfortunately, what people fail to realize that a lot of the 2021 bull run was due to the fact that you had a significant amount of crypto money entering the NFT space looking for that next 5x, 10x, 100x, 20x. And once that crypto market started to cave in, essentially all of those market participants were no longer able to hold up the liquidity of the market to be able to move forward. So 2022 to 2023 has been an extremely trying year, I guess, for the NFT space. But what I will leave you with last for that question is that behind the scenes, when you look at asset classes such as art or asset classes such as the metaverse and digital land, there's been an immense amount of building on all sides that really is forming the foundation for more mainstream adoption in the future.
Great, thank you for sharing. I couldn't agree more. I know we have many discussions in the past on the side in our private chat, but I think most of the people would like to know, how do you evaluate project? Because you come across many in the past, but what are the most important, I guess, factors? What are the questions usually asked?
So my job as an NFT investor or an NFT collector is really to evaluate projects and assets as closely and as meticulously as I can. And I'll share with you what they call now the Whale Shark investment or Whale Shark NFT investment playbook. But I can tell you that it is very much still the fundamental analysis that you use as an angel investor or as a venture capitalist, right? So this was published by CoinDesk a couple of years ago, but essentially what I do is I focus on the fundamentals, and there are mainly four to five main things that I look at. The first thing, as always, you need to look at the team. You need to understand that the team is competent enough to carry through on the roadmap they delivered. And again, similar to investing in companies in any other industry, if that team does not congeal well, if they're not able to keep on their roadmap promises, essentially no matter what assets you buy from them, it's all going to go down the drain. So team is of utmost importance for me when I'm looking at a project. The second thing that is more unique to the NFT space is really trying to draw a physical parallel or a traditional parallel. And this is, again, it sounds like very often when I'm in NFTs, I very often sound like I'm the old man in the room, right? But being able to say, let's say, for example, you're purchasing digital land. Is there a traditional parallel that you can draw prior to that in the traditional world and say, hey, it's worked in the traditional world, so it's going to work in the digital world, right? So I think that has been one of the key things that I've looked at as well. After that, you're mainly looking at use case and quality. There's no point in tokenizing things just for the sake of tokenizing. They have to have some form of unique use case that will provide a point of differentiation and fully leverage this new digital environment that these assets exist in. And I believe that the last thing, Bowie, that I would look at is really the capital runway. Coming back to what I said earlier on, 99.99% of NFT projects are going to fail. It has happened simply because, almost tying back to the issue of team, if you lack the experience of capital management, what happens to all of your assets when you run out of capital runway? So when I do look at projects, when I do look at assets, and you'll see that I'm the largest holder of, things from Animoca as well as things from, Immutable X. These companies have have hundreds of millions of dollars in the coffers. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But if you cannot survive, then you cannot thrive, whether that be in the bear market or in the bull market, Bowie.
I couldn't agree more. We were talking about the capital runway, especially during this bear market. Minimum, you got to have ideally 18 to 24 months. But you were telling me you actually expect to see 2 to 3 years, much longer than what I told all the startups.
I do. So the issue with the Web3 market as a whole is that there's so much volatility and there are so many unknowns and ambiguity within the space that honestly, I get up every single morning looking at the news and I don't know what I'm going to see on the headlines that day, right? As I'm sure it's with all of us. Now, the only way that you can protect yourself from market forces, regulatory forces, or anything, or any effects whatsoever, is to be able to have enough capital to, just shoulder and barrel through all of these challenges. Now, I know that, 6 to 12 months in crypto land is probably 6 to 12 years anywhere else. I've felt that I've grown another 40 years over the last 4 years. But at the end of the day, we don't know how many bull cycles we're going to go through. We don't know how many bear cycles we're going to go through until this industry reaches maturity. Crypto has been around since 2012. Sorry, way before that. I've been involved in crypto since 2012, and I've gone through at least 3 to 4 bull bear runs over that course in time. NFTs came to prominence in 2019. How many bull bear runs are we going to go through before the market decides that one asset class is more valuable than the other, and one asset class is going to move mainstream while others are going to fade into obscurity?
Absolutely. Let's deep dive to an interesting, I guess, a dispute. Recently, Yuga Lab, one of the biggest NFT producer, they have a recent dispute about the intellectual properties. Could you, from your perspective, could you please share what you think? Maybe perhaps you tell us what actually happened.
Absolutely. So I think Yuga Labs is a very interesting case. And again, nothing that I do say here today, I want to be very honest. I want to give my true opinion to you guys. So nothing here today constitutes financial advice or regulatory advice. But, BAYC, or Bored Ape Yacht Club, is a very interesting case in terms of, what happens when you have digital assets on the blockchain that all of a sudden are placed under the scrutiny of legal and financial regulators, right? So there are so many different. I want to say there's so many different conflicts that they're involved in at the moment. So I'll try hit off one by one. I don't think I have an answer for all of them. But what I do know, I think a lot of these raise more questions than answers. When you look at BAYC, I think, again, BAYC has become, or PFPs, profile pictures, have become very synonymous with the NFT industry as a whole, right? Or NFTs as a whole, when in the actual fact, NFTs, they span a wide array of asset classes like art, like digital land, like gaming assets, collectibles, et cetera, et cetera. Now, given that, BAYC, I would say, probably has about 5 or 6 ongoing issues, some moral, some legal, that really do need to be resolved out as we move forward. The first one is, I would say, the undercompensation of the original artists who did a lot of the work for the elements of a Bored Ape, All-Seeing Seneca, right? Who came out earlier last year saying that, she was undercompensated, there were no royalties. And again, she was very professional and she was extremely courteous and nice about it. But given that a project has blown up this big without that recognition, again, I do think it was throwing a little bit of egg on the artist's face. After that, essentially last year, you also had a dispute between what does it actually mean to own a Bored Ape, or what does it actually mean to own an IP, or an IP of a profile picture project. And what we saw was that it's still very much a work in progress for all PFP projects to really understand, what am I keeping and what am I giving away to the holders, right? So Galaxy Digital, they released a news article and they basically spoke about 2 projects, Boombirds, who have moved on to, a CCO license, which, allows general derivatives of everything, and BAYC, whereby there was not a lot of clarity in terms of what did the holders of a Bored Ape actually own, right? Did they own the commercialization rights? Did they own the trademark? Did they own the copyright? Can I do whatever I want with it, right? So I think that is still under a lot of scrutiny. And, with so many PFP projects in the market, it is also something that really needs to be a little bit more analyzed, and a lot more clarity needs to be developed by these projects to actually tell holders, what do they actually have when you do buy a PFP. The largest one, Bowie, would be, again, the RRBAYC, or the Ryder Ripps BAYC controversy, happening in two different segments. You got RRBAYC saying, hey, BAYC has neo-Nazi symbolism. It's a way to propagate some of the founders' beliefs. And then at the same time, you see our Ryder Ripps, create a direct copy of BAYC, saying that it is actually just a parody or criticism on the project, right? Just a one-for-one copy. And then after that, claiming that BAYC had not copyrighted any of their Bored Apes. Therefore, it is possible for him to do so, right? Or for the project to do so. Again, all of these are being worked through, and I would say that the last one, or the last conflict that's out there right now, really is, the Bored Ape Kennel Club, which is a derivative of Bored Ape Yacht Club, where basically the logo of the project itself was taken from a easy drawing tutorial book, right? And they tried to trademark that as well. So again, back to my main thesis behind this, I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be fascinating to understand, how do digital assets work in this environment. But the two main questions are, for me, right, based on everything that's happened, is, are PFPs art, or are they some sort of semi-fungible security? And the second question I have is, if nobody owns the copyright of these PFPs, then why are these things worth so much?
Right. Well, thank you for sharing. I think that use case is a very interesting dispute. I guess there will be many more coming, I'm sure. So it's yet to discover what will happen going forward. So I'm mindful of the time. I'm running out of time, but I still want to ask you a couple more questions. Maybe we keep it short. So what is the outlook of the NFT/metaverse in 2023, or perhaps next year, 2024?
So I think, so the main thesis behind the NFT market as a financial market, right? If we put it, is largely tied to crypto, right? That's my opinion. So essentially what we'll see is when Bitcoin and Ethereum rise, we'll see also the rise of NFTs, right? Mainstream money has not entered the space yet. Now, again, anything that I say doesn't constitute financial advice, but history is never wrong. And what we've seen often within the crypto market is a 2-year bear and then a 1-year bull. If we do determine that the bear market started in January or January of last year, essentially we're in for another 9 more months of this bear market before we revert forward. So, again, everyone thinks that they can beat history. A lot of influencers in January and February of last year said, it's going to be an extended bull market. I think we're in for a bear market all the way to the end of the year before we see some light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, that's tough. So I guess hang in there. But Hong Kong is promising. I think we've been talking about how Hong Kong government is so determined and supportive to make the Hong Kong the main financial hub, especially in the digital space, digital asset space. So I think more opportunities will definitely happen here in Hong Kong, which is why we have this WOW Summit. As part of the WOW Summit, we also have a NFT art exhibit featuring many artwork, right? And Wellshock, thanks for your support. And I know some of your artists that you have specifically chosen to feature. Can you tell us a little bit more about the artists?
Absolutely, and I love Hong Kong. Bowie got to meet me very shortly in person in Hong Kong. Absolutely love it, and it's a wonderful place for NFTs, given how much art, how much culture is in the region. Now, given that, we're absolutely psyched and absolutely excited to be able to bring some very, very prominent female artists to the summit. I've had my curatorial team select actually 5 of them. I wish I could show you all of them, but again, we do have limited space. So essentially what we have is we have 5 artists from varying backgrounds, from varying diversity. We have Shuli Chang, who's an extremely prominent American Taiwanese artist who was actually showcased at the 2019 Venice Biennale. So she's extremely prominent. That was what we have there is one of her first works. We have Josie Bellini, who is a true OG from the crypto art space and used to do Bitcoin art And again, a lot of the art within the space does reference digital currency, and she does that. We have Sturik, who's a wonderful artist out of Turkey, who actually did do art for some of the major packaging in China. We have Debbie H, who's a South Korean artist based out of London, who's simplistic, minimalistic styles, really capture the audience. And last but not least, we have Nadia Forkosh, who is a Ukrainian-based artist. And again, I believe that her work is just going to blow all of you away.
Thank you so much, Shak. One final question. Can you give us one key takeaway for our audience today?
Absolutely. I think the main key audience, speaking from the NFT side, I believe in investing in inevitabilities, right? When you look for an opportunity, you don't want to look for maybe, maybe not. You want to look for inevitabilities. And what I mean by that is that something is definitely going to happen. Now, when you look at the Web3 space, I invest in crypto, I invest in DeFi, I invest in all these different things. However, the one thing that I do know is that NFTs are inevitable. Crypto is better money. Decentralized finance is better financial services. However, there is no other way other than NFTs to determine the provenance, scarcity, and ownership of digital assets in a digital age where we're all moving towards the metaverse.
Thank you, Shak, and I look forward to hosting you in the near future.
Thank you so much, Bowie. Thank you, WOW Summit.
Back to you, Andrew. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bowie. What a great job for bringing Whale Shark to this event. We're absolutely thrilled with that.